Hey guys, it's Joe with Pocketnow.com, and today we're going to talk about the Motorola Droid Bionic, show you a little bit about how it performs, and some of the software that it comes with. Let's go take a look. Alright, so since the major selling point behind this phone is, well, in addition to its large, gorgeous screen, is also its dual-core processor, let's jump right into performance and see how it performs in some of the benchmarks. A couple things I want to show you first. Let's do LinPack. Here's what it ran before, which took about 3.9 seconds and it gave us 43.226 megaflops when running in multi-threaded. We'll go ahead and run that really fast because it only takes a few seconds to run it. You can see right there again, megaflops 42.885. If we run that in a single thread, it's going to take a little bit longer, theoretically about twice as long, but we still get a really good score, even though we have an inaccurate result, which happens occasionally when we're running this particular benchmark. Running it again, you can see that we've got our precision back. So overall, very fast device. Let's jump over to Quadrant, and since Quadrant takes a little while to run, I'm also going to jump into telling you about what benchmarkings are and do, because there's a little bit of a debate going on out there about them. So a benchmark is a high watermark. It is essentially how fast does this device perform a predetermined set of tests, and you can see some of the graphics tests going through right now, compared to another device running the same tests. Now the difference there is the other device has a different set of hardware than this device. So since the tests are all the same, the theory follows that the benchmarking results will simply show, let me pause for a minute, you see right in here we've got some graphic anomalies on this little planet, just to point that out in the benchmark. But the benchmarking will then essentially show the speed differences between the two devices being compared. Now that doesn't play out entirely true. In fact, right here you can see my benchmark score is about 2,500 points. That's about the same that I get with my T-Mobile G2 overclocked to 1.5 gigahertz, which is a single core, by the way. Excuse me. So what we've got with benchmarking is a device that doesn't perform nearly as well as it should. Now, when I say should, I mean that's an implication that this device should be a lot faster. Not to say it's not. This device is ridiculously fast. But in the benchmarking, I'd expect to see this at least into the 3000s, which of course is the drawback of benchmarks. This benchmarking utility, in fact most of them, don't take full advantage of the hardware that comes out, the brand new stuff. So in this case, it would be the dual-core processor. Let me show you something else that it doesn't take advantage of, and it's really kind of funny. SmartBench 2011 is another one of the benchmark utilities that we use. Takes a minute to load up, and on this device, I get an ad. And it's almost always a dating ad. I don't know why SmartBench has so many dating ads on it, but I don't have any way to start the test. If I come down here, that's going to take me over to the market for that ad. If I tap around, sometimes I can get it to run. Every time I've been able to get this to run just by kind of randomly tapping and trying to get it to run, it'll run, but then I can never get the results back. So we're going to have to give this one a did not finish because it didn't finish the benchmark. But that's because of the screen resolution. This is a very large, nice screen. For the specifics, make sure you head over to Pocketnow.com so you can see the stats on just exactly how big this screen is, and we'll go from there. Alright, so let's run through a browser test. I've got Pocketnow.com queued up to run on each one of these three devices. We'll hit go, and go at the same time, as close as we can there. And the Motorola Droid Bionic pulls that up really quickly. T-Mobile G2 shortly after. Unfortunately, on the HTC, I think I did a Google search instead of doing an actual run. So we'll go ahead and open that up over here. It's one of the things that the Wildfire S is a little bit interesting about. But overall, you can see how quickly they came up. This is over 802.11 and Wi-Fi, and it's just really fast. Let's go ahead and see how fast it loads the desktop version. Try and start these two at the same time, and the middle one will start after. Now, the desktop version of our site is a lot larger, a lot heavier than the mobile version, and well, I think you know why. Overall, though, you can see just how much faster your faster phones on this side run compared to the Wildfire S. We're almost entirely complete over here with the Bionic. The G2 is coming in really closely. Both sides are functional. We've got flash that's preloading and running smoothly, and we're still kind of trying to get there over with the Wildfire S. Now, as you can see over here, I'm on a 3G network connection, and I'm also on Wi-Fi with almost full bars. Let's go ahead and run a speed test against that Wi-Fi, just so you can see how fast it runs. The first thing that I noticed about running speedtest.net by Ookla is just how fast it runs on this device. Starting it up, running it, the whole thing, the animations, everything is a lot smoother even than my overclocked G2. It's ridiculously fast. The ping times over my Wi-Fi here, 18 milliseconds, that's really, really low. 15.72 megabit per second down, 4.09 megabit per second up. Just ridiculously fast. Let me go ahead and toggle the Wi-Fi off. We're going to try that again over 3G. Now, this is an LTE device. I'm not under an LTE umbrella, so I'm just going to have to tell you what those speeds are. But we'll run the same test again under 3G, just so you can get a feel about how fast it is over a traditional 3G network. Alright, I've turned off the Wi-Fi. We're going to restart the test under Verizon 3G. Testing the ping first. Now, the ping is how fast you ask for something before you get a reply back. Here you can see we're at 181 milliseconds. Most wireless carriers that I've seen have been right around there. Anything below 300 is usually acceptable. Anything above that, you're getting a little bit slow. T-Mobile has been a bit faster than that 181 milliseconds. They're usually in the double digits and usually the low double digits. Download speed, we can see there we've got a 0.42 megabit per second. Upload, it looks like it's going to be a little bit less than 1 megabit per second. That's not that great, but it's not common for what I usually see. I'm going to run the test here again for you just so we can get a good baseline. Normally I'm running right around 1.2 megabit per second down, and that up speed is pretty representative of what I normally get. We'll run that one more time just so you can see the results of two tests run back to back. So here are the results of that next test, and they're not all that indicative of what I was hoping to show you. We've got 0.39 megabit per second up and 0.84 megabit per second down. While I'm describing my experience with 4G LTE, we'll let that run again. Normally you'll see your download speeds about double, sometimes not quite double your upload speeds. That's just the asynchronous nature of internet connections that we normally have these days. Luckily, I'm about 20-30 minutes away from a 4G LTE bubble, and I've never been able to get full bars, but I've always had 2 or 3 out of 4, so it hasn't been too bad. The tests that I've run over there on those locations have been in line with what I'd expect 4G to be. It's about 3 to 5 megabit per second down, about 1.5 megabit per second up, and that's in line with the T-Mobile HSPA Plus in the same areas. I was expecting LTE to be ridiculously fast, speed of lightning, all kinds, bells and whistles. Unfortunately, that hasn't been my experience, but it may be closer to that where you live. But definitely 4G LTE is amazing. Now, one thing I want to mention, 3G is over CDMA. Now, the CDMA network and the GSM networks are very different. Verizon has done an awful lot with their CDMA network. They're kind of abandoning that for LTE, in my opinion. But there is an inherent little caveat that you may want to take into consideration with 3G or even 2G over CDMA. And that is, when I'm driving down the road, I normally pick out my favorite navigation app, Waze. Big shout out to you guys there, which now has advertisements. But I'm usually driving down the road with this up so that I can see what the traffic is, where I'm headed, where I'm going, and I can also report stuff as I see it. Accidents, cops, whatever it may be. This uses a data connection to pull that data down and to bring the maps into place and to show me those alerts like you were just seeing on the screen. When I get a phone call, which I do quite often in the car, I have that over Bluetooth. You can see my Bluetooth is on, and I have my car kit set up so that I can just take those calls right there in the car, no headset needed. And I go ahead and make those calls, and driving down the road, of course, being safe. But while I'm on the call, I don't have data coming in as long as I'm on 3G. LTE is different, but when I'm on 3G and I'm on a call, I don't have any data. Now that is kind of a disconnect and has caused some hangs and some issues with various apps when I go back to them after getting off the phone call, because now it's got to reconnect to the data network and make that work. So just a little bit of an inconvenience there, nothing major, but it is something to mention about the phone. Next, let's get into the apps that come with this. Now, first of all, you're going to notice this is not the stock Android experience. This is kind of a Moto Blur, kind of a Droid, kind of a Bionic thing. It's fresh, it's new, and it's subtle. I don't particularly like custom launchers. That's just me. I prefer raw, core, pure Android. I think that's what Google intended, and I think that any device manufacturer who tries to add to that is taking away from the experience, taking away from the brand that is Android, and taking away, well, speed, because it's stuff on top of the stock interface that we're all used to. So let's spend a little bit of time looking at this interface. For those of you who haven't seen it, if you've got a Droid, you're probably familiar with a lot of the stuff that I'm going to show you, but for your friends who may not know, let me show you. First of all, we've got this really nice, I'm already at the end over there, so let's scroll this way. If you notice here, we've got this cool layered effect. I've got a live wallpaper in the background that adds some 3D, but as you move, you'll notice I've got a nice sheen across my widgets and across my icons, a nice reflective animation that just adds a little bit of polish. As I scroll, the icons down here will kind of bunch up together, and you've got kind of an unfolding, kind of a stacking on top of each other animation to how you're changing pages on here. Now this is a 5-page layout. Some others, like mine, have 7. Some have 3, some have 1, whatever you need to use, there you go. This has 5 and it's been plenty for me, but it feels really nice. Let's go ahead and check out some other things. If I pull down the notification tray, you can see I've got a very nice gradient, more translucency at the bottom than at the top. I don't have any of the HTC hot tasks, if you will, running up in the top, and it's a little bit unfortunate. I'd like to be able to toggle some of my my radios, my Wi-Fi, my airplane mode and whatnot up here, or even have a recent applications up here like some of the HTC Sense devices do, or some of the Cyanogen mods do. But I don't, and it hasn't been a problem. It's been just one of those things that I kind of miss a little bit. Now, what you're not seeing here is a series of alerts or notifications. I have none at this time, so I can't really show you that, but I'll get you a view of that here in just a minute. Let's go ahead and fire up the dialer. The dialer is kind of a different look. It's got nice big buttons. It feels very much in theme with what we have in the other devices, and really the theme that's across this device. It's just a nice, consistent UI overlay. Let's jump into the launcher. Now, I have installed some of my own apps on here, and I'll just brief over what the apps are that come with the device, just so you can kind of tell them apart. But let's look at this. First, you'll notice we've got some little drop-down shadows at the bottom, just to give kind of a 3D effect. This is a horizontal scroller rather than a vertical scroller like we are accustomed to, and you can kind of see there the cube-like 3D effect when we change pages. Go ahead and exit out of that if we can. All right, so let's go back. Let's touch on what we have kind of stock that comes with the device. Alarm and timer, obviously. Amazon Kindle is an app that comes pre-installed. The Blockbuster app as well. Browser, I don't like the icon for browser, although it looks just like a browser. It's just kind of a disconnect. We're used to a globe. Calendar is pretty much the stock Android calendar, or calculator rather. Calendar, you can start to see some of the more subtle effects from Droid. Let me get you over to just a raw calendar look. If we look up here, you can see I've got this little plus sign and a little bit of information. Now this is where you start to see some of that Droid Bionic theming come into play. When you have notifications, they look like this. Whether that's a download, whether that's an email, a text message, you've got what it is and then a little dismiss button over on the side. Well, this obviously is an add button, but it looks very similar. It's subtle, it's simple, it's elegant, and I'm really impressed with it. They've done a very good job at incorporating that through the entire OS. Even over here you can see I've got my whatever it is up on the top and then a nice little icon over the side, an action icon, in more or less the same look and feel. Even when I come in here to my recent applications, it looks just like what you'd expect it to look like. It's not a different UI metaphor. So kind of nice there. It's just a different view of your apps, really. It's not a little pop-up block like it is on some of the Android devices that come with stock Android. Back to the apps that come with this. Camcorder and camera are separate icons. It's essentially the same app. It does take a little bit of time to load, but this camcorder will do 1080p HD video, and it does so amazingly. We've got a sample video over at pocketnow.com that you can go and look at. We'll have a link to that in the final review for this phone as well, so you can see what it looks like. And overall, the comments have been remarkably positive. So it's not just a bias on my part. Your peers are thinking that this camcorder is quite amazing. The camera can do either 8 megapixel or 6 megapixel widescreen. I've got some 8 megapixel images, raw images, that we'll have up in the final review as well, so you can see how that looks both on macro and micro and well, all kinds of different shots that I could pull out for you. Citrix is kind of cool. Citrix is essentially lets you connect to other computers. This is a remote desktop client, and it lets you work from your phone. That really comes into play when you've got some accessories and when you're on an LTE network. The accessories include the Atrix style laptop dock, if you will, that gives you a keyboard and a monitor and whatnot, and it lets you use your phone as a laptop. You also have a dock that you can acquire that lets you do the same thing to a monitor, keyboard, mouse, and whatnot. So very cool there. City ID is an app that I like. It's kind of an afterthought, but I really like this. When you get a phone call and don't know who it's from, this will look up their caller ID and tell you what city and state they're calling from, or where that phone number is registered in. So really nice if you don't have caller ID for them, a name, caller ID, and just a phone number. It can help you know, well, oh, that's my friends from Mesa, Arizona. Okay, great. Contacts are contacts. I've got a whole ton of them, but you've got this whole interface, again, that's the same across all of the customizations that Motorola has made. So very nice looking there. Let's keep going through here, and I hit back one too many times. Device setup, I'll show you that in just a minute. That's really the walkthrough of how you get everything set up on the device. It's a very smooth and fluid process. I like it quite a bit. DLNA, it lets you connect to and serve as a DLNA, a Digital Living Network Alliance, I believe is what that stands for. Server or client. It lets you share photos and supported videos across various devices on your network. That could be a picture frame, that could be a TV, that could be a computer. In my case, it's a Windows Media Center. Unfortunately, the format in which the videos are recorded for my Windows Media Center are not playable back here on the phone, but I kind of expected that. It's a proprietary format. My home videos, stuff that I have in just regular formats, play just fine over my Wi-Fi to the phone. It's really kind of cool, with a little bit of lag to show the libraries, but that's kind of understandable. Downloads, we all know what that is. Email is their implementation of email, and I'll show you just really quick here. Same look and feel with how many new items you have. Really, really nice implementation of the stock email client that comes with the with most devices to be able to get non-Gmail emails. Facebook app it didn't come with, but it comes with a Facebook connector. Files is a file browser. It lets you look into your file system and get into stuff. It doesn't come stock with a lot of devices. It does come stock with this. Photo gallery, Gmail, we know what those are. Google search, we know what that is. GoToMeeting is essentially a meeting client. It lets you share At least the desktop version lets you share your desktop and also audio and video and whatnot. I believe this version does just the screenshots, and that's just fine with me. Guided Tours is a walkthrough. It helps you figure out what you can do with your device. Very nice. Help Center is kind of a text-only version of that. IM is a unified instant messenger that lets you do Yahoo, it lets you do AIM, it lets you do MSN. Doesn't let you do Google Talk, but we have Google Talk for that, so very nice there. Little gratuitous plug for my app, Joe the Web Guy, available in the market. Latitude does not come with the device. Neither does Joe the Web Guy, by the way. Let's Golf 2. This is an amazing game. It's awesome. I love it. It only comes with a few levels out of the box. Wants you to buy the full thing, but the full thing is gorgeous. It's essentially a golfing game. Very nice, very well implemented, as good as the desktop versions, and then some. Just all kinds of amazing. The market, obviously, it comes with, and that's where you get all of your stuff from. It comes right out of the box with the new version of the market, which I don't really like, but that's what we have. That's what it does. Messaging is pretty much email. It's your other messaging. The email over here is for corporate email, whereas this is for other stuff. Now, most carriers are going away from using the built-in Android hotspot functionality with their own, essentially so they can charge you more money. And I don't necessarily blame them for that, although I do think it's unfortunate. Here is Verizon's, and essentially it just lets you turn on and off your mobile hotspot, manage your devices, and tell it when to turn off. So very, very basic. It does what it's supposed to do, but it is an extra charge that you do have to sign up for, and the first time that you run that, it's going to walk you through the setup process to add that service to your monthly account. Moto Print. Very cool. You want to be able to print from your device? That's how you do it. The unfortunate thing is there are not a lot of devices that are, and when I say devices, I mean network or internet connected devices that are on the compatible list. So if you want to be able to print, chances are you've got to install a third-party app, or in this case, the corresponding client app, to put it on a computer that has a printer connected to it that is connected to the internet, so you can print through that, which means you have to download, install, and maintain software on your desktop computer. Your desktop computer has to be on, and it has to be connected to the internet for it to work. So the utility right now is a little bit lower than what I'd like it to be, but very, very cool forethought, and that's going to pick up and become a lot more important, especially as you can use this as a desktop computer with the right accessories. Music is your music app. My Accounts basically jumps you right into the account screen that lets you go in and add a Facebook, a Twitter, any number of those accounts. There's a whole bunch of them that they support. Lots and lots of cool stuff. My Verizon Mobile is your Verizon account. It lets you get in and do tools and all kinds of cool stuff. Navigation and Netflix, all very, very explanatory, not on the device to begin with. Netflix, maybe, but I installed that almost right away, so I don't know if it actually came on the device or not. If not, go out to the market and you can download and install it. News is a simple news aggregator. I'll show you what the widget to that looks like. NFL Mobile, I think we all know what that is. Pandora, Places did not come on the device. Quick Office did. There is an upgrade to this. They do want you to pay for it, but I can still use it to view all of my Microsoft Office and other Office formatted documents. The phone does come with Slacker radio, which is really cool. It also comes with this social location and social networking app, which just let you share your location and your social network status with your various different social networks, whether that's Facebook or Twitter or any of the others that you saw in the accounts. I've installed SoundHound Speed Test and Stopwatch and Timer, and Microsoft Tag. Comes with Task Manager, Tasks, Text Messaging, all of these VCast things that I didn't get into. Video Surf, Voice Command, which I think is redundant with Voice Search. Does come with voicemail, and Verizon Navigator, which is Google Maps or Waze, but you have to pay for it by use or by week or by month. All kinds of cool stuff, and of course we've got YouTube and ZumoCast as well. ZumoCast being a service by Motorola that, again, you've got to have software running on your desktop computer to be able to get any utility out of it. So that is pretty much what comes with the device. Here are the widgets that I was going to tell you about, and we'll wrap up on those. This is the Waze widget. Up here we have your gallery widget. tap on that, and you can then open it up. You can go into your camera roll, your library, your friends, DLNA servers, and whatnot. Very cool looking. Very nice, very fluid. It looks really good over here in landscape as well. Changing the layout to fit better on the screen. So really, really nice there. Let's go back home. I've got just one or two more that I want to show you. The calendar here is scrollable. Now in Android, in stock Android, you usually have to get a custom launcher, and you have to get a custom widget to be able to do this. This is built in. Way to go, Motorola. It's beautiful. It's great. I love it. Same thing over here with the My Data usage. This is usually something you have to get from the market, and it's usually not that accurate. In this case, very good, very nice, very accurate. Here's the news widget. Same interface that you're used to. You can see all of your news articles. If we go back here, we've got our social widget where you can see your Twitter and Facebook feeds and set your status as well. Very nice, very fluid. It's just done the way it's supposed to be done. It's beautiful. One last widget to show you is your favorite contacts widget. And here you can see I've got 4 of my favorite contacts, including my mom. If I drag down, you can see a cool little animation where it looks like it's pulling the stack down. And if I release it, it's going to pull up all of my favorite contacts right there. If I reverse that, it's going to put them all back. Very nice, very animated. And just to show you how nice and quick and fluid that is, there you go. You can also see in here a carryover from the same subtle UI tweaks with that header bar and the common used icon stuff. So very, very nice. Overall, Motorola, you did a fabulous job with the Verizon Droid Bionic. Now let's get to the bad news, and we'll end on that. Number 1, you can see my battery right here. Battery life is going to last you about half a day with moderate to heavy use. You're going to want to make sure that you have this thing plugged in when you wake up in the morning, plugged in as soon as you get in the car if you're going to be doing GPS, plugged in when you're at work, just sitting there, and keep this thing as full as you can. Next, recently we showed a little video on Pocketnow about wall warts. Wall warts being those things that you plug into the wall to charge up your devices and whatnot. This comes with one. It does really good. One of my alternatives was to use a powered USB hub to kind of split that power out amongst multiple devices, and you can get rid of all of those wall warts except for the one for the USB hub. This does not charge over that, and it took me days to figure that out. Why was it not charging? It was maintaining, but it wasn't charging. So I'd get up in the morning and I had the same battery life that I had the night before, and it didn't work. Had to go back to the wall wart. The USB power outlet that I showed you in that video as well worked just fine, worked fabulously well for it. Just the other one does not. So keep that in mind. If you're running into power problems, make sure you are using a wall wart or a dedicated socket for it, not sharing it. And you'll be a lot happier. Next, the battery takes a long time to charge. Even when plugged into its wall wart, it can charge and charge and charge and charge for hours and hours and hours. It's a 1700 plus milliamp battery, so it's understandable. That's a huge amount to fill up with electricity, but it takes a long time. Don't expect just a quick charge and you're done like on some of the other devices. This phone takes a lot of juice. It takes a while to charge it up. There is an inductive charging sleeve that you can get. Let me see if I can find that in the accessories book really fast. Right there, they call it the wireless charging battery cover. So you can get that and just set your phone down on a charging pad, sold separately, and it'll just charge up inductively. That might be your best solution. Get this thing, get a pad for work, a pad for home, and just set it down on there so you don't have to worry about it. One other thing, the little powered USB port right down there is upside down from every other one that I've ever seen. So when you're plugging in, make sure you have that in the right orientation, which is kind of hard to do when you're coming home and it's late and you don't want to turn the lights on. And it's just kind of difficult to get that orientation right, but keep that in mind. That other one, by the way, is my HDMI port, and I've just turned down Pandora while we were here. Little Matchbox 20 for us. But see how fluid that is? I love it, love it, love it. So that's the next thing. Now last, and we'll talk about this a little bit more, That's your headphone jack. Got it? It's a headset more than anything. And I still didn't get Pandora off. How about that? Matchbox 20. There we go. Now, when listening to music through the speaker is down here. It's on the back, which is kind of a different place from where they usually are up here on the top. That's fine, but when you cup it to amplify the speaker, you got to do the bottom of the phone, not the top of the phone. Little tip for you there. That sound is great. I love it. It's wonderful. As soon as you plug in a headset to the top, especially with Netflix, you're going to get hisses, you're going to get pops, you're going to get a high-pitched whine. And it's something where you're not going to think that it's the phone. In fact, I thought it was the Netflix stuff. I'm going through the Star Trek Voyager series right now, and there were a lot of hisses, whines, and pops that were driving my wife and I nuts when we were listening to this over the earbud. It's not the audio source. It's actually inside the device. Now, I don't know what's been done recently. I've been trying to get to the bottom of it, and that's kind of why this review has taken a little bit longer to get out. This is not uncommon. Other people are getting this as well. It seems to be across the board, not limited to a specific set of phones. And hopefully there's going to be some kind of an update that comes out to it, but we haven't found anything yet. That having been said, without having seen any update at all to the phone come through, and I've been checking, they seem to be gone away. Whether that means that I've just got used to them, or they're really gone because of something else, I don't know. But it's been quite a while since I've noticed those pops and that high-pitched whine. The quieter, electromagnetically speaking, your environment is, the better it seems that is. So that might be indicative of a poorly shielded port or connection back there on the back, which I hope not, because that would be a hardware problem rather than a firmware or a software problem that could be fixed with an update or a patch. But like I said, in the last few days, and it's only been the last few days that I've been using it, that's gone away. I haven't noticed it, or it's just not there at all. So make sure you head over to Pocketnow.com to see the full review of this wonderful, awesome device. I am going to be so sad to send this back to Verizon, even though I'm not really a Verizon guy. I'm not really a Motorola guy. This is by far the most awesome phone I have ever had the opportunity to use. And even with the battery, even with the slowness to charge, even with those audio pops and whatnot, you are not going to be disappointed at all if you go out and grab this as your preferred device. I know I wasn't. It's an amazing device, and if I were on Verizon, this would be the phone that I would be carrying around on a daily basis. So that is the really extended software review, showing off not only benchmarks for speed, but also the processor as well, the built-in apps, as well as some of the others that we've done, and a few little caveats that we've caught in our testing. So an awful lot that we covered in this video. We've got a write-up about the device that's coming to Pocketnow.com over the next couple days. Make sure you read the full review and get our final decision on this phone. I think I've kind of hinted to you at what the rating is going to be already, but make sure you get the full write-up. If you want to make sure that you're up to date on the newest, latest, and greatest phones, make sure you subscribe to our video channel so you get those updates as they come out. Subscribing, of course, is free. It's all through YouTube. Head over to Pocketnow.com. You can also subscribe to our RSS feed, which also is free, so you can know about new articles as soon as they come out. And of course, if you like seeing really, really detailed videos like this, make sure you give the video a thumbs up. And if you have questions or comments that you would like to share specifically about that audio issue or the battery, make sure you do those down in the comments down below. For Pocketnow, showing off the amazing Motorola Droid Bionic, I'm Joe Levi.